Hi and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be looking at different types of pots that you can use when camping, backpacking, through hiking. I'll give you an idea of what I've started off with from the early days into the army and now into my kind of backpacking career and camping in the Scottish Munros. The world of backpacking, camping can be quite confusing. There's lots of kit out there and it's really hard to work out what is good for you, what is right for you, so you don't end up wasting your money. So hopefully this kind of video gives you an idea of what's good, what's not so good. Right, let's get into it, shall we? I started camping back in high school, going out on small trips with the school and then moving into kind of backpacking events. At that point in time, I knew very little, and I had one of those big pot sets that the high school gave us for going out on our kind of expeditions. We still get these today, and I'll show you a picture of one of these kind of pot sets, but there's lots of different pots in it, lots of different sizes. I took this out with me and it was a lot of kit, and I really didn't need all the different pots that was in the set. However, I have still seen people using this, and I've seen people taking this on wild camping trips, pulling out lots of different pots to simply boil water, when all they needed was something a little bit smaller. What we're going to look at first is a pot set that I used in the army, and a lot of bushcraft people still use these. It's the reliable mess tins. These are aluminium, pot, tray, whatever. These have been around for absolute decades, and the bushcraft community still use these. These have been around for decades, and the bushcraft community still continue to use them, and some backpackers use them as well. As you can see, there's two different sizes. There's a larger and a smaller. They both have these flip up handles that you can see here. Also, when you're cooking and boiling water, because you've got two, you can actually fit one over the top like so, and you can actually keep the heat in. It cooks your food a lot faster. Mess tins are quite lightweight. They're made of aluminium, however they have to be squaddy proof, so they are reasonably tough. Doesn't mean you go and smash them around things, but you can put them in the rucksack and they're not going to get all dented. You can boil water in them really easily. We generally use these for our boil in the bag meals. You can eat out of them, so you can cook your food in them if you want. However, there's a risk of getting aluminium poisoning. There's not a lot of information whether this happens or not, but it is a risk. So if you are going to use mess tins for cooking things like pasta, stuff like that, be aware that is an issue. However, you can also use them as little frying pans because of their size. Again, I wouldn't necessarily use them for a frying pan as it is, because risk of aluminium, but what you can get, bit of silver foil. Stick the silver foil inside the mess tin, and now you can put your bacon in there, you can cook away. So I believe the bushcraft community will do things like this, put the silver foil in, and it means they can actually fry things in here or cook them. So these are both your mess tins here. They're generally cooked in the army on a stove like this that I've covered in another video. You also get your gas stove here, so you can simply place the stove on. As you can see, it's quite a big surface size, so if you were going to use a type of stove like a canister stove, then that's going to sit quite high up and potentially could fall off. So if you are going to use mess tins, I would definitely use some sort of low profile stove, such as this one here, or something like a remote canister stove. When it comes time to pack away your mess tins, you can actually put whatever food you're using in one of them, so it gives you another place to store your food. Then put the small one inside the big one, and you've now got a lot smaller kit to put in your rucksack. They do tend to get quite black on the bottom, especially if you're using open flames, but you can simply just wipe this on the ground and this will become nice and clean. Generally in the army, I only ever used the small mess tin, and very rarely did I ever use the big one. However, even the small one was a bit big for me, so I ended up getting one of these. This is also a mess tin, but as you can see, it's half the size of the smaller. Also comes with a lid. If I was to take only the small mess tin out, I'd have no lid for it, and it wouldn't be great kind of boiling the water in the cold. This little mess tin actually comes with a removable lid, as you can see, nice size. And again, you can cook food in here, whatever you need to do. You can even use it as a little frying pan. Again, I would put some silver foil in here, just so you're not getting aluminium poisoning. Put the lid on, and then cook it over an open flame or a remote canister stove. Again, even with its size, I wouldn't put it on a normal canister stove, especially if it's sitting quite high up. So as you can see, a remote canister stove sits on perfectly, and a current stove from the army sits on quite happily. And again, I would definitely recommend a remote canister stove for cooking with this one. So again, you've still got plenty of space in here if you want to cook pasta, stuff like that, if you're not too fussed about the aluminium poisoning threat. If you are using things that boil in the bags, rehydrated meals, there's plenty of space to put a meal in here. Close the lid, and then you've got a little handle here to close over. This handle, unlike the previous mess tins, actually has some rubber on it, so gives you a bit more protection from the heat. Closes over, keeps it nice and tight, and again, it's a good size so it can easily just fit in a pouch or down the side of your rucksack. What I'm going to move on to now is my stainless steel cooking mug. This has been heavily used in Afghanistan and after. Great bit of kit. You can probably see it's been well used. Comes with two handles at the back that fold in straight into the mug itself. I have added some tape onto the ends to give my hands a bit of insulation, because all it did have was just the metal itself. It's very robust, very strong, a little bit heavy. Put the weights up here for you. However, this is going to do the job. You're not going to get the aluminium poisoning for this, so again, you can cook proper food in here. You've got a decent size in here, so you can cook pastas, noodles, whatever it's going to be. It's got a good surface here at the bottom, so you probably could use this on a standard canister stove. Just keep an eye on it. It isn't an absolute circle, so it's not as well balanced as other pots that are out there. However, still a good, reliable pot. As you can see, it's got the fold-out handles at the back, and I've got the tape on the handles just to give it a bit of insulation for myself. Handles are quite far away from the cup, so it means you can easily place it down onto open flames, campfires if you need to. You're not going to get your hands burnt. Sits quite happily on this remote canister stove, and it sits really happy on the army issued one as well. As you can see, it's been well used and it still stands the test of time. This pot has its own particular cooking stove that it fits on the bottom of it, so you can get that extra if you want. This is a good, robust pot, and I've really enjoyed using it over the years, and every so often I do bring it over retirement, just a bit of nostalgia for my days in Afghan. So, good all-round pot, and for the bushcraft community, definitely a good pot for them. So the pots I've been looking at are more for the kind of bushcraft community, that kind of idea. If you're doing your lightweight backpacking while camping, you do want something a little bit lighter, a little bit better. So the next pot we have is a titanium cooking pot. This is a 750 milliliter pot. Titanium. It's got two handles at the back, and again, I have put tape on them for a bit of insulation. This one comes with a little handle at the top, so if you were using open flames, campfires, you could hang this over the top and cook your food without having to use gas stoves, canister stoves, fuel stoves. Just using an open fire and this. Titanium, very tough, very lightweight. As you can see, here's the two handles. Got the tape on it. Got the lid, and there's little ventilation holes there. You've also got this little lever that you can lift the pot up with. So if you slide it forward in this little groove, it won't fall. It'll just stay upright. Means you can easily pick it up off the pot, and when you're packing it away, sliding it back and folding it down. Here's the carry handle, so you can have it hanging over an open fire, and then you can just cook your food that way. As you can see, the pot fits on the canister stove quite easily. Handles, again, I would insulate them if you're going to use something like this, just to give you a little bit of protection. And then you've got this handle here if you want to lift it off. I also have this really small titanium cup. This is more for just drinking my tea, stuff like that, but because it's titanium, I can cook from it. So it saves me having to take 2 pots out if I'm just going out for a day and I'm just going to be cooking things like teas, coffees, whatever it is. I could take this with me, cook with this one, and then drink right out of it. I don't need the kind of middleman. Think about what you need. You don't need big massive pots. Smaller ones can do you if you're just going out to have a drink or super noodles, but I find the 750 millilitres a really good size. Oh, sake. I do find the 750 millilitres a really good size. You can get a gas bottle in here, one of the smaller ones, and a stove. So it's a really good size for lightweight backpacking. However, titanium does have a flaw. It doesn't retain any heat. So if you are cooking proper food in here like pastas, super noodles, whatever it's going to be aware that this pot will not retain the heat. So that means all the heat is going straight into your food. So if you don't look after it, you don't stir it, you don't have a good simmer, then potentially your food's going to start to burn and it's going to stick into the inside of the pot. I've learned that from my own personal experience, and it's not great having bits of food still stuck inside your cooking pot. So just be aware of that. So titanium is great, it is lightweight, but if you're going to be cooking proper food, be aware you have to keep an eye on it. For boiling water, absolutely great though. So because when I go backpacking I want to start moving into cooking more real food and staying away from the kind of boiling the bags, stuff like that, I want to cook proper pastas, all that kind of stuff for long trips, I needed something else. Stainless steel is not going to do it for me, it's too heavy, so I want to go to aluminium. However, I have seen some aluminium pots that have some of the same features that jet boil pots have. This is a 1 litre pot from Fire Maple. It's got a plastic lid. It's got a lot of space in here if you want to cook lots of meals, or if you're cooking for multiple people, you can easily do that in a 1 litre pot. Also, if you want to boil a lot of water, you can do. It's got these 2 handles here, folding in, folding out, and they've also got rubber on them as well. So this is a good pot, and this might be the pot that I end up taking on the Pacific Crest Trail. So this is the pot here. As you can see, the handles fold in quite flush and they've got rubber on them, so you're not going to burn your hands when you're cooking. It's got this lid on the top. It's got this little hole here so you can pour your water out so you can get to whatever you're cooking at. Also means the steam can get out here as well. Lid comes off quite easily and you've got a lot of space inside to cook. As you can see, it fits on the stove really easily, and if you were using a bushcraft style, then it's got a decent enough size that you can set it on there. So at the bottom you've got these fins, so they will retain the heat and then have better heat transference into the pot. It's a decent size, so you shouldn't have many problems of it fitting on top of your stove. So this is a great pot for going wild camping, backpacking. It's a good size, it's got the heat fins, so I've got the benefit of what a jet boil has for a fraction of the price. Good pot. And this is more than likely going to be the one that I take on the Pacific Crest Trail. But for smaller trips like the Tour Mont Blanc, I've got something a bit smaller. This is another Fire Maple pot. This is a 600 milliliter pot. It also comes with the same fin heat system that the last one had. This time it's got a harder plastic lid and the handle actually folds up over the top, keeping the lid secure. By simply pressing it, handle will fold out and you can put it onto a stove. Lid lifts off quite easily, and it's got a little rubber bit at the top so you can easily just grab it and take it off. As you can see, it's got the heat fins on the bottom as well. It also has these gaps, so if you have got a camping stove with the kind of 3 legs, it should fit quite happily. I'll put the dimensions up here for you so you'll know if your stove fits on it. If not, it'll still fit on canister stoves anyway. As you can see, the handle fits over the top of the lid, keeping it nice and secure. By pressing onto the handle, folds over and locks into place. Lid's got this nice little rubber grommet here you can pick up quite easily, and you've also got these holes at the front so you can pour the water out or it ventilates the steam. This is already set up for me going to Tour Mont Blanc, so I've got my windbreaker in here and my stove already ready to go. Personally, I think these pots have the best of both worlds. They're lightweight, they're not as light as a titanium pot, but they do retain the heat so you can cook proper food better. They also have the benefit of the heat regulators on the bottom, just like a jet boil. So I think these are definitely good pots to have if you're moving into the wild backpacking kind of route. So last but not least is my jet boil cooking skillet. Yes, it's not a pot, but I think it deserves a little honorary mention, as I do actually take this on wild camping trips up the Scottish Munros. This is not titanium, it is stainless steel, so it's a little bit heavier, but personally I don't think it's too heavy. We take this wild camping so that when we're up, we don't have to eat rubbish food on the hills, so we tend to take quarter pounders out with us. It's what we like, it's a little bit extra weight, but I think it's worth it. As you can see, the jet boil skillet comes with its own little cooking implement here. You can easily just push this out, like so, and then the handle flips back, and then you can easily start cooking your meals. It's a good option when you're wild camping. It just gives you a bit more flexibility of what you want to cook. Hell, you want to take a steak with you? You can cook a steak on this. You want to take some vegetables, do a bit of proper wild cooking? You can. So this is a good option for you. I think it was definitely worth mentioning in the video. I hope you find this video interesting, and I hope it gives you some ideas of what different types of pots are out there for wild camping, through hiking, backpacking, hell, even car camping. Thanks for watching, and if you are interested in backpacking, camping, then there's another video just here that you can click on, which has my review of different types of camping stoves that you can use out there.